Welcome back to AM Sports Cover 4. Jay, I wanted you and I to get together very quickly and talk about a polarizing individual and a polarizing team last year, and that is Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Now, Jay, before we get into it, I want to invite everybody that's currently watching this particular video to hit the subscribe button. We cover nothing but college football here at AM Sports Media, and we will be glad to have you as a part of the family. So hit the subscribe button, and don't forget, smash that like button as well. Now, Jay, Deion Sanders, very interesting, polarizing figure. You either love Deion Sanders or you absolutely hate him. You can't stand him. I love Deion. Everybody knows I love Deion, but some of the comments that I've made about Deion Sanders, because I've been critical of him, people say that I am a hater. I am no such thing. I just think there's room for criticism as it relates to Deion Sanders. Now, last year, we saw a lot of Colorado fans and Deion Sanders fans that got extremely excited after they were able to pull off a win against TCU. Those of us that follow college football understood that that was not the same TCU team that we saw in the college football playoffs the year before. It simply wasn't. They went 3-0. They were struggling with Colorado State. They should have, if they were really what people thought they were, they should have destroyed Nebraska. And then they ran into a buzzsaw called Oregon. Now, I think, and it's just my personal opinion, that Dan Lanning had a personal agenda that he wanted to showcase during that game, and they literally beat the brakes off of Colorado. Now, following that game, if I remember correctly, it was USC. They did lose to USC as well, but not as badly. And then we just saw a streak of games, and let me see if I can pull up their schedule real quick, Jay, where things just didn't go well. I had them finishing, I think it was 5-7, if I'm not mistaken, is what I said. And I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't win 4 games. And that's exactly what occurred. They beat Arizona State. They lost to Stanford in an embarrassing way. They got up big on that Friday night, and Stanford sucked them in and ultimately won in overtime. They lost to UCLA. They lost to Oregon State. Arizona, which you thought they were going to beat Arizona. I did not. Washington State. And they also lost to Utah. Now, in the midst of all this, Jay, interestingly enough, Deion decided that he was going to get rid of his offensive coordinator. He promoted Pat Schumer. I think Pat Schumer took over at that point. Pat Schumer is from the NFL. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Pat Schumer is now officially their offensive coordinator. Personally, I didn't think you had anything to do. And Jay, if you can remind me, what was the name of their offensive coordinator again? I can't recall his name right now. Forgive me. But I felt like when you really think about what you saw there from an offensive perspective, they did not have the requisite skills across the offensive line. It just was not there. That offensive line was getting obliterated. And Deion Sanders, who I deem as a hell of a quarterback, I actually think Deion is elite, but he just didn't have enough time and protection. So now you made a change with your offensive coordinator. You've brought in, if I'm not mistaken, it was 24, Jay, 24. And I know you want to talk about this, 24 transfers and only 7 recruits. That ratio is awful. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why I personally believe that Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes are in trouble, is that the calling card for Deion was supposed to be his ability to recruit, right? His ability to walk into homes, connect with young men, connect with their families, and be able to recruit those gentlemen or those young men to Colorado was supposed to be his advantage. And with NIL, he really doesn't have that advantage. The class ranked 119th, Jay, 119th. Now, I know that the transfer class was much higher than that, but I want to let that sink in. 119th was the class. So that is putrid from a recruiting standpoint. Did they fill a lot of holes with their recruiting? Maybe. Or with their transfer portal recruiting? Maybe. We'll see. We saw them do a lot of that in the previous year with guys that I knew weren't going to be all that good there at Colorado, but it is what it is. Jay, I want to pass it to you. What's your thoughts on the Colorado Buffaloes? I know you got a lot to say about this because you do your homework.
Yeah, well, a couple of things about Pat Schumer. He's not new to Colorado. He was on the staff last year. He actually took over the play calling duties
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last 4 games of the season.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, the offensive coordinator they had beforehand was Sean Lewis, who got
Yeah, that's the
demoted,
name.
after like 8 games, and now he's the head coach at San Diego State.
Hmm.
So Schumer was already with the Buffaloes as of last year. He wasn't just fresh from the NFL or anything like that. Now, as far as this move here, from what I've read, I read that Shador and some of the other guys kind of like it. They like they like this play calling towards the end of the season. And to your point, their offensive line couldn't stop anything. They were horrible. So
Facts.
I knew it was gonna be a mass exodus, especially with the expectations and the name and everything that comes with Deion Sanders that he brought to Colorado. Everything, having everyone at every game, stars and everything, like they're going to the national championship. I like what he does as far as a coach and his recruiting. But I knew,
His
I,
recruiting.
I picked him to win 6 games last year. Yes, at Jackson State, the way he was pulling recruits from
Oh,
time at Jackson State.
big
He
fish
wasn't
in a
had a chance
small
to do
pond.
anything in Colorado, and this year he hasn't done anything. Let me keep talking, man. Let me go. Let him cook.
Go ahead.
But they definitely need to hit the transfer portal like they did. But to your point, is you can't have it be that heavy. You got to have some kids in there for depth and development. If you're just going with one hit of quitters, you don't know if they're going to jail. So you putting all your bags in all your eggs in this one basket, and you're hoping you hit a home run. I've talked to some friends, and they're talking about, well, I see Colorado going to the playoffs this year. I'm like, well, what proof? What proof do you have? We know Shador is badass at quarterback. We know Travis Hunter can ball. We also see he has some deficiencies and weaknesses as far as playing corner at times against some certain size wide receivers at times. We knew they were undersized offensively and defensively on the lines. He couldn't address all that in just one off season, and to go so heavy on the transfer portal with some guys that are proven, some guys are still like 3 stars. They were decent players, but they weren't lights out. We know team football is an ultimate team sport, so it's going to take time for them to gel. It's a good thing they have this spring to see how they do gel and see what's happens with this offensive line, because that's going to be key. They're gonna need the offensive line to keep Shador upright. He was the most sacked quarterback last year, if I'm not mistaken. If he wasn't the most, he was the second most. Seeing that kid get beat down like that, I felt bad for him. I would have like, man, you know what? I'm not going back there no more. I'm not gonna be sitting back there. Y'all gonna kill me like that. But I want to see if I wonder, because of this recruiting class here, does this mean that Deion has a short time in Colorado? Because we know Shador ain't gonna be there much longer. Shador got 2 years tops. Depending on how he looks this year. Because last year, people when he looked early on, people were like, oh shoot, he can ball. He's definitely gonna be bolting after his third year. When he'll be eligible. So he did well last year, but to have undersized running backs, an offensive line that was putrid, a defensive line that was undersized and underwhelmed. The linebackers were very small as well. Their best thing was their back end. And then when Travis got hurt, you had his Shiloh back there. Shiloh can hit, but we've seen him in coverage. We've seen him when he hits you. When he misses, he misses.
Shiloh can hit. Travis Hunter is not good in coverage. Go ahead.
It depends on who he's covering. He can cover certain receivers. The quick ones, he struggles with covering them. The ones his size more mainly, he can pretty much handle them pretty good, tit for tat for the most part. But we're going to see. I don't think. At first I was like, Deion's going to be there for a while. I thought he's going to be there for a while. Now seeing the way this recruiting class here, and then depending on how this upcoming recruiting class for 2024, he's going to have to make some big splashes in next recruiting cycle, because he has nothing. It's going to be empty all over again. Because to your point, he brought in 24 transfer kids. Most of those going to be gone after this year or the next year. So he didn't have much left. So I wish Deion the best on that. I wish he had gone to USF instead. To see how it does, since I'm in Tampa. So I'm in town. That is where I went to school at, as well as film. That's where I got my degree from, at USF. But what Deion does, we'll see, man. He's gotten some decent players in the transfer portal, especially on the offensive line. But again, It's all about chemistry. All about chemistry and bringing and gelling. And I don't see them gelling that to a point where they're going to make the playoffs, like some people saying they're going to make the playoffs. Even with the 12 point playoff, 12 team playoffs, I don't see them making it. You?
Hell no. No, not even close, man. I think Deion, personally, I don't think Deion's going to be there much longer. I think if I don't think they're going to have a lot of success this year, and I think with Shador looking to move on, I think he'll probably move on as well, because you want to keep Deion really. His name is probably going to be as hot as it is ever going to reach, in my personal opinion, now, because I think there's going to be a bit of a struggle. Now, if they come in and Deion is able to win, so they won 4 last year. If they come in and they win 8 this year, okay, I would deem that a successful season, right? And if he can get to 9, 10, then you know what? He's in a good spot, and I would say he'd have the ability to step into another role somewhere else, and maybe get a more high profile opportunity. But as it stands right now, I think he's going to struggle a little bit more, because the things that I thought that Deion Sanders, and I think that most people thought Deion was going to bring to the table, was recruiting, and I don't see that materializing. And really, in college football, it's less about the X's and O's and more about the Jimmies and Joes. I got that from Jimbo. So you guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Give us your prediction of what their records will be for 2024. We're definitely curious to see that. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is AM Sports Cover 4, and we are out.